Hi, my name's Sam. I'm 18 years old and I've been going to Grace Life Church for 18 years. I grew up in the church. My father was a pastor, my mother was a greeter, and my family was just raised in the church my entire life. And it was kind of our guiding principle. Um, my mother used to pray over me that you are the head and not the tail, you are above and not beneath, you are more than an overcomer. I was baptized at a young age, and my early life was just filled with Christ and coming to know God and a childlike faith of how much I loved God. Um, and then around sixth grade, my family kind of went through a pretty big ordeal. My parents got a divorce and kind of seemed like everything was falling apart around us. Um, but in the midst of it all, this was the first time I actually heard from God. Um, Around the age of 12, everyone was kind of freaking out about, what was going to happen or what was going to happen with our family. And, no one really was sure of the future. But I was sitting in my room one night just listening to worship music, and I heard a voice, and he said, um, Your father will never leave you. I'm right here. Uh, and that was super impactful for me. It kind of just broke me down. Um, and then, even after growing up in a Christ-filled home and learning about God and knowing God at a young age, and as I progressed through middle school around eighth grade, I kind of started to take a turn for the worst. I began to do drugs. I began to get involved in sexual sin, immoral things, living for the world, kind of leaving my history with Christ behind me. And um, ninth and 10th grade in high school, it only got worse to the point where I was doing more drugs, doing drugs more frequently, still having sex, still living for the worldly pleasures. Um, but in 2021, I remember we were getting the North Campus built, and my brother and my sister would go to church on Sundays, and then I would go home, but they would stay after church and they would go to these interest meetings at the North Campus, and I just saw how powerfully God was moving in their lives, and um, just the steps that they were taking. And I was curious. I really wanted to feel that way, to know God in a way like that, because I was sad. I didn't know my identity. I was struggling with drugs and trying to please everyone else but God. So finally, I asked my sister if I could go to the one of the interest meetings with them, and she was like, "Of course." So I went, and I just felt a super unreal connection to Christ in that moment, like a reconnecting moment. Um, and that whole summer when we were building the North Campus, I would go to church at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, and then I would come home at 9 o'clock on Sunday evening, and I would just spend the whole day at church. And um, God was just calling to me so much, and I started to change the things that I was doing so that I could live for Christ more. And on August 15th of 2021, I decided to get baptized again. And for this moment of time, I was super committed to Christ, super um, into His Word, uh, making that the guiding principle of my life once again. But not long afterwards, I went through a breakup, and it kind of all fell through again in my junior year of high school, back into drugs and whatever, just to make myself feel some sort of happiness instead of running to the Lord and kind of putting it on His shoulders. But the thing that I noticed the most during all of this time is that no matter what I had done or how far away I had strayed from the Lord, every single time that I did something wrong, He would just call out to me and tell me that He loved me even more, and that He forgave me for everything that I'd done. He wanted me to be His son, and He wanted me to walk with Him for the rest of my life. And I had amazing people around me, like my best friend Gabe, who would text me every Sunday like, "Hey, you need to be in church," or Laura, Laura Mancuso would text me, hey, like, I need you to serve on this team this Sunday, so I need you to be here. And having those people in my life, it kind of kept me grounded, because during a lot of this time when I was committing these sins and doing drugs and having sex and living for anything else but God, the biggest sin that I think I ever committed was doubting God, or trying to like distance myself from God, because I have evidence and I've seen and known everything that He's done for me and my family. And then my senior year of high school, I suffered another breakup, and it all happened again. I was sad again, and I was going through the same cyclical sins that I've been committing for years. And this was around the time when, I had to start thinking about where I was going to go to college. And I had committed to the Arizona State. I was enrolled, and then I knew something was wrong about that. And then God, I was just praying because I knew it wasn't right, and God kind of just put it in my head that I should go to Temple University. So I listened, I decommitted from Arizona State, I enrolled at Temple University, and then I visited Temple University, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling. I knew something was wrong with it, and I went out to dinner with my mom afterwards, and I just started crying. And God put it on my heart that He brought me there because He wanted to show me that that's not the place that I was supposed to be. He wanted to show me that He wanted me to stay home. So I enrolled in community college, and now throughout this time, I think that God showed me that this is where I need to be, so He can grow me, and so He can guide me and lead me, and nurture my growth in my faith, and kind of push me to the plan and the calling that He has for my life. And now more than ever, I feel that calling, and I see and know the things that He wants for my life.